Hey everybody, it's Lori. I don't know why I wipe my eyes every time I start a damn video. But this is day 2 of, oh my gosh, day 2 of the 31 days of reviews for November that Skylar and I are doing. Oh my gosh, my nose is itchy. Um, Today I did a film from 1971, which I told you on the other one that I was going to do, but I didn't tell you what I was going to do. It's the year I was born, so yeah, I'm old, unfortunately. But the movie I did was Bedknobs and Broomsticks, one of my all-time favorite Disney movies. It's animation and live action. It's just a really great movie. It has Angela Lansbury as Eglantine Price, David Tomlinson as Professor Emilius Brown. It did win an Oscar for 1971 for Best Effects, which back in the day, the effects in this movie were awesome. Okay, here's pretty much I have some notes in here because I forget what order some stuff happens, and my hair is awful. That just made it worse. It starts off. How does it start off? I don't remember. No, I'm just kidding. World War II, and the Nazis are going to invade. You see Mrs. Brown coming into town on her little motorcycle that like spits sulfur. Um, she goes to the post office and picks up her package from Professor Emilius Brown from the Witchcraft something training correspondence school from Professor Emilius Brown. You can kind of tell what it is. I mean, it's a broom, obviously. As she's trying to leave, the postmistress says they are evacuating children from London, and there's 3 that she needs someone to take. And since Mrs. Price has a huge house and just her, she's chosen to take the 3 children. There's 2 boys and 1 girl. There's Charlie, which is the older brother. Then there's Carrie, which is the girl. And then there's Paul, who is the boy. Okay, they get them there, and after she thinks they're asleep, she goes and unwraps her broom and tries to fly on it as her cat, Cosmic Creepers, which she doesn't believe in giving silly names, so she just left it the name it was given to her with. I say a lot. I'm so sorry, guys. I am so not used to doing this. So the cat, the most god awful looking animatronic, I can't even tell you. It looks awful, like a dead cat. It really does. Anyway, as she's trying to fly, and she finally gets it together and flies out the window, the children are trying to run away back to London, and they see her flying around and then crashing into the bushes. The older one, which is Charlie, decides, well, he's going to stay and try to take advantage of the situation, knowing that she's a witch. So the next morning, they say something and tell her basically that they know she's a witch. So she tells them she would give them something in return, one of her spells. She asked them if they had anything like a ring or a necklace, and Paul, which is the younger one, said, I have a bed knob that he had taken off of the bed in the room that they sleep in. So she gave it the famous traveling spell. The traveling spell. So she puts the spell on the doorknob. Then she says she gets a correspondence, and it says that there's no longer the School of Witchcraft, that she doesn't get the one spell she's been waiting for. Oh my lord, it's 4.5 minutes and I'm still at the beginning. So then she has Paul turn the knob and tap it 3 times, and they go to London. They find Professor Emilius Brown. Then they take the bed from London to his house, which is an abandoned house that has an exploded bomb. They find They go in the house and have dinner with him, and the kids go exploring in the house. The kids find a nursery and start playing with toys. Paul finds a book and just sticks the book in his little satchel or bag. No one really pays attention to it much. Then after they go there, they go sorry. After they do that, she finds the book, and it's the reason she can't get the spell is because he only has half the book. She finds out that he got the book at Portobello Road. So they go to Portobello Road. There's a lot of singing, dancing, anything and everything you could ever want, you can find at Portobello Road. Well, as they're looking for books, a man, sketchy man, hears them and eventually tries to sell them other stuff, and then finally he pulls out a knife and said, well, how about this? And takes them to the bookman. The bookman has the other half of the book that they think will have the magic words. Come to find out, at the very end of when they're in the bookman's office, the two halves of the book say you can find the words on the Star of Astaroth, and it's found on the island of Nabumbu. And Paul, who says, I've got it in me book. So he holds up the book, and they try to get them, but they disappear on the bed and go to the island of Nabumbu. Actually, the lagoon of the island of Nabumbu. There's a really cute dancing, singing sequence under the ocean with the fish and the briny blue sea. Then a bear who looks strikingly like the bear in Wizard of Oz. Robin Hood. Catches them, pulls them up, and says, I'm going to throw them back. Well, then they say, the Paul, who has the book, says, the book says anybody can meet with the king. So they meet with the king. The king's not happy. He wants to play soccer, and they don't have a referee. So Professor Brown offers to be the referee, which is a big no-no. He gets trampled. He gets run over. He gets kicked. He gets hit. Tries to grab the Star of Astaroth, which the king wears, and he can't get it. Finally, after the soccer game ends, they say goodbye and shake hands, and he asks him if he'd ever heard of the Gypsy Switch. And the king says no, and Professor Brown tells him that he'll tell him about it next time. Well, he has the Star of Astaroth. He puts his whistle on the king and takes the Star of Astaroth. They run back to the bed, and the king is coming, and another really big part of the movie, which I forgot to say, is she doesn't have a very good memory, and she keeps messing up this one spell, which is to turn something or someone into a frog. It always ends up they turn them into a white rabbit. She had turned Charlie into a white rabbit. She had turned Dr. Brown into a white rabbit, and now she turns the king into a white rabbit. They go home. She asks Mr. Brown for his shoes, and she goes to get the Star of Astaroth, and it disappears. And she said, I should have known that I couldn't bring it from one world to another. She can't remember the words. She can't remember the words. And all this time, Paul is saying, I know the words. I know the words. Finally, he says the words, and she says them, and the shoes come to life. Her nightgown comes to life. Charlie's trousers come to life, and they don't know how to stop them. They come to life, but they don't know how to stop them. So then he leaves after the lady, the postmistress, comes to take the kids, to tell the kids that they found somewhere else for them. Professor Brown goes to the train station to go back to London, and as Mrs. Price looks outside, there are Nazi soldiers. They come in, they take her and the kids to the museum, and as Mr. Brown is at the train station, he sees Nazi soldiers also, and they try to catch him, but he turns himself into a white rabbit. He finally believes in something. He believes that he can turn himself in, so he turns himself into a rabbit, goes to the museum, gets through the side of the window, and they do the substitutionary locomotion spell. And the suits of armor, the horses, everything that's in there that's inanimate objects come to life with the 5 words of Triguna Macortes Dracorum Satis D. Can't believe I remember those words. So everything comes, and they end up taking on, in a very comedic, funny way, the Nazi army and chase them away. And at the end, you see them all back together with Professor Brown joining the army, I guess is what you'd call it, and saying he would be back. And that's pretty much the end of the movie at 11 minutes. I am so impressed that I went that long. That's my review for today's movie. Tomorrow will be a movie from 1972. Thanks. Bye. Like, comment, subscribe. Mwah.